Welcome back. Today's session, six topics, all high yield. Now, census, Dalit conversion, rights, inflation, Artemis, Punjab sacrilege bill, and Bangalore water. Let's go. So, first of all, we have the Census 2021, India's longest delay. Now, India's census, constitutionally mandated every 10 years, has not been conducted since 2011. It was due in 2021, postponed for COVID, and as of 2026, is still undone, making this the oldest, making this the longest, census gap since 1881, when continuous decennial enumeration began. Now, India's 2011 population was 1.21 billion. The UN estimates 2026 population at 1.44 billion. Now, the 106th Amendment cannot be implemented until a census is conducted and delimitation is done. Its Section 5 says so explicitly. The proposed digital self-enumeration census lets households fill forms via mobile app. Census Act 1948, legal basis for India's decennial census obligation. NT69 Union List. Census is a central subject. NPR is a National Population Register. ACCC 2011, Socioeconomic Caste Census, basis for welfare scheme targeting. Delimitation Commission is the body that redraws constituency boundaries based on census data. And digital self-enumeration is the households fill census forms directly, no enumerator visit. Then we have the Dalit post conversion SC reservation debate. A constitution bench of Supreme Court is hearing a challenge to the Constitution Order 1950, which restricts SC status to Hindus, Sikhs, and Buddhists, excluding Dalit Christians and Dalit Muslims from SC reservation benefits. The 1950 presidential order was built on the premise that conversion to Islam or Christianity removes caste-based deprivation. The Ranganath, the Ranganath Mishra Commission found this premise false. Dalit Christians and Pasmanda Muslims face the same discrimination as Hindu SCs but have no legal remedy. Dalit Christians face segregated burial grounds and restricted priestly roles within the churches. Pasmanda Muslims, estimated to be around 70 to 85% of Indian Muslims, face Ashraf versus Ajlaf stratification that mirrors Hindu caste hierarchy. The challenge argues that denying to identically deprived Dalits different legal status based solely on religion violates Article 15 prohibition on religious discrimination. Article 341 is the presidential order power to specify scheduled caste. 1950 presidential order is restricted SC status to Hindus. Ranganath Mishra Commission 2007 body recommending SC extension to Dalit Christians and Muslims. Pasmanda Muslims is the backward caste and Dalit equivalent Muslims. Article 15 is it prohibits discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. Fifth schedule deals with administration of tribal schedule areas. Protective constitutional framework. Then we have the CPI inflation, RBI's food inflation dilemma. So India's CPI inflation data, the RBI's mandated target metric, continues to be dominated by food price volatility, reviving the structural debate about whether monetary policy tools are suited to India's supply side inflation drivers. Nearly half of India's consumer price index is food, compared to 14% in the US. A bad monsoon in August spikes vegetable prices by October. Raising the repo rate cannot grow tomatoes faster or build cold storages overnight. Monetary policy is the wrong tool for India's biggest inflation driver. The Monetary Policy Committee, under the flexible inflation targeting framework, sets the repo rate by majority vote. The governor has a casting vote in case of a tie. Now, core inflation captures genuine demand pressures that interest rates can address. When core is low, but headline is high due to food, the MPC must respond to a metric that doesn't reflect monetary conditions. The FIT framework is the flexible inflation targeting, 4% CPI target plus minus 2%, enacted via Finance Act 2016. Repo rate is rate at which RBI lends overnight to commercial banks. MPC is the Monetary Policy Committee, 6 members, meet 6 times yearly. CPI, industrial worker, is the consumer price index for industrial workers, used for DNS allowance calculation and non-revenue water, right? Then we have the WPI, which is the wholesale price index, measures price changes at producer level, not RBI's target. Then we have the Artemis 2, first crewed lunar flyby since 1972. NASA's Artemis 2 mission carrying four astronauts, including the first woman and the first black person on a lunar trajectory, is scheduled to fly the Orion spacecraft around the moon on a free return trajectory, the first crewed mission beyond low Earth orbit since Apollo 17 in December 1792. Artemis 2 is a flyby, not a landing. The crew orbits the moon and returns. The landing mission is Artemis 3, using the SpaceX Starship as the human landing system. Artemis 2's purpose: test Orion's deep space life support and human factors before committing to a lunar surface mission. India signed the Artemis Accords during PM Modi's state visit to Washington, a bilateral framework for peaceful, transparent, and interoperable space exploration. China and Russia have not signed. They have a competing ILRS framework. All lunar missions target the South Pole because permanently shadowed craters contain water ice. India Chandrayaan 3 was the first to land there. Water ice means in situ resource utilization, making rocket fuel from moon's own resources, enabling deep space missions. Artemis Accords is US-led bilateral framework. Principles for peaceful, transparent space exploration. Then we have the SLS, or the Space Launch System, NASA's heavy lift expendable rocket, $4 billion per launch. Orion, NASA's deep space crew capsule, designed for cislunar and eventually Mars missions. ISRO, in situ resource utilization, making propellant and water from moon's own materials. Chandrayaan 3, India's August 2023 moon lander, first to land at South Polar region. ILRS, International Lunar Research Station, China Russia competing framework, target 2035. Then we have the Punjab Sacrilege Bill, blasphemy law debate. So, Punjab's prevention of offences by sacrilege bill, creating a new criminal offence for desecrating named religious text, including the Guru Granth Sahib, Quran, Bible, and Bhagavad Gita, has reignited India's debate on whether state governments can effectively create blasphemy laws under Article 19, Provision 2. Now, the Constitution's Constituent Assembly deliberately excluded religion from the eight grounds in Article 19 that justify restricting free speech. Any sacrilege law must be justified under public order. The existing ground, not religious offense per se. The existing law, Section 295A IPC, was upheld by the Supreme Court in Ramji Lal Modi, specifically because it requires deliberate malicious intent to outrage religious feelings plus a public order connection. Punjab's new bill may remove this intent requirement. Now, an earlier Punjab sacrilege bill was sent to the president in 2018 and assent was withheld. Under Articles 200 to 201, the president can withhold assent to state bills, effectively a constitutional veto exercised by the central government. Article 19(1)(a), constitutional right to freedom of speech and expression. Article 19(2), eight grounds on which state may restrict speech. Religion is not one of them. IPC Section 295A criminalizes deliberate malicious outrage of religious feelings, upheld by SC 1957. Ramji Lal Modi, SC case upholding 295A with narrow reading requiring intent plus public order nexus. Article 200(201) is governor reserves state bill for president. President may give or withhold assent. Bargari 2015. Sacrilege incidents involving Guru Granth Sahib in Punjab that triggered this legislation. Then we have the Bangalore water crisis, urban governance failure. Now, the Bangaluru's recurring acute water shortage, where summer 2024 saw tankers prices spike to 500 to 1000 and IT companies ask employees to work from home. It reflects the structural collapse of the city's water system. 1452 historical lakes reduced to fewer than 200 functional water bodies, groundwater tables plummeting to 60 to 90 meters, and the city now entirely dependent on the Kaveri River 100 km away. Bangaluru's traditional tank cascade system, thousands of interconnected lakes recharging groundwater, was systematically encroached over 3 decades of IT boom urbanization. When the lakes are paved over, rainfall runs off rather than recharging the aquifer. On Bangalore's hard granite substrate, once groundwater is gone, there is no quick recovery. Karnataka's Kaveri allocation was fixed by the 2007 Tribunal Award and 2018 Supreme Court's order. at 284.75 TMC. Now, Bengaluru's BWSSB share is 19.25 TMC. As the city has grown from 2 million to 13 million, it has hit the ceiling of its legal allocation. Any more Kaveri water requires Tamil Nadu to give up agricultural share, a political impossibility. Non revenue water, NRW, water that enters the distribution network but is never billed due to leakage and theft, runs at 30 to 40% in Bangalore. BWSSB is the Bangalore Water Supply and Sewage Board, state board managing pipe supply. Kaveri Tribunal is the body established under the ISRWDA 1956, fixed Karnataka's allocation in 2007. NRW is the water supplied but not billed. CGWB is the Central Groundwater Board, classifies Bangalore zones as overexploited. 74th Amendment 992 is the framework for urban local body powers. 3Fs not fully transferred. ISRWDA 1956 is the Interstate River Water Disputes Act, legal framework for river allocation tribunals. So, six topics: census delay, Dalit conversion rights, food inflation limits, Artemis, Punjab sacrilege, and Bangalore water. Stay consistent. See you tomorrow. Thank you.